Hello, or wada.
Wazza, everyone. Hey! And smiley face. Welcome to We Are Trash People. We are the show where we talk about Planet Scum. Because that's what
Scum.
this is now. Planet Scum. And today I am exceptionally excited because it's the end of the year. Yes, that was a Gatsby that just went by. Our Gatsby, not Richie Owens of Freakfest, which was a CGP with, what's her name?
Meg Stalter.
Meg Stalter!
And
I love her.
Woods or whatever.
Thank you, Woods or whatever. He also has a cat that looks exactly like Gatsby, named Gatsby. So that is our cat Gatsby. We did not steal that Gatsby. Welcome to the show. We talk about Planet Scum, and I am exceptionally excited today because this is the last show of the year. There is no Planet Scum live tonight. No. But we are taking this as a very special opportunity to dive deep into the bowels of what makes Planet Scum work. What makes it function? What is the machinery behind that which has been keeping, like, most of us afloat for the past 2020? Like, yeah. I'm not gonna try and be too cool and pretend that I know what day of the week it is outside of knowing what Planet Scum show is on. I'm not gonna pretend that Sunday wasn't super fucking weird without having George Lucas talk show. Not gonna pretend.
I did legitimately listen to Blank Check to give it a sense of normalcy.
Blank Check with Griffin and David, associated, I don't know how, with the George Lucas talk show.
David Sims has been on.
David Sims has been on.
But
today, we are going deep into the bowels of Planet Scum, and the function, the way in which we are doing this, friends, is we're going to talk to the people who run the Planet Scum. That's right, the people who make the thing that you love. Is it Chris Gethard? It's not Chris Gethard, because he has put his name on this thing. He has put his money behind this thing, but he has also given the job of making this thing happen to people who make things happen. That's right, producers. Where would comedy be without producers? I don't know. So let's welcome to the show the amazing Bryson.
Oh, I was okay. Hello.
The amazing Hex. The amazing Dave. And of course, that person, the queen of Planet Scum, the amazing Jess.
Oh boy.
Jess.
All right. Don't tell everyone that I asked you to do it twice.
Jess, I'm going to put my Venmo in the private chat so you know where to pay out. There you go.
Welcome, everyone, to the show. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm really excited to chat with you all about what you do at Planet Scum, how you found yourself there, and what your hopes and dreams are for the future. What do you see in this vast comedy landscape? This Twitch thing that we're all sailing atop of all these people playing video games? What's there? What's happening? Welcome. I would love to know from each of you, and we can start, of course, with the Queen. Who are you and what do you do as part of the Planet Scum thing? Everyone knows who you are. Everyone knows who all these people are because Chris Gethard is brilliant and made this like the Howard Stern show. He just plucked all the things that are good from Howard Stern, and part of that is knowing who makes the things, having them be characters, having them be people, humanizing the production so that we can all think, oh, we can do that maybe ourselves. Jess, what do you do at Planet Scum?
How do I even give myself an introduction compared to Hi, I'm Jess. What do I do? My title is production manager. I make sure that everyone is where they're supposed to be. I like to boss these guys around. So for each show, I send out emails to all the talent, and I make sure that they know where they're supposed to be, with the exception of the George Lucas talk show, which Patrick definitely has handled on that front, booking wise. I also produce Martin's show, Who Wants 269 with Martin Urbano. So that entails like I will book the viewer contestants. I talk afterwards. We debrief. We talk about how the show's going, new ideas, where we can take it. I push all the buttons behind the scenes on that show on Mondays. I also do call screening, so I get the very honored privilege of being able to talk to everyone that comes on the show, all the fans, and sometimes it takes a while to get through them because we're actually sitting and having lovely conversations, and I've met so many wonderful people doing that, and sometimes I even have to say, okay, I promise I won't talk to you that much, and then Bryson's like, who do we have, Jess? Who do we have? So I also do call screening, and then if there's a meeting that needs to happen, I make sure that everyone has emails out and links to that, and again, making sure people are where they're supposed to be so things can run smoothly. And one thing I have a lot of fun with is those notifications you get in your email. If you're subscribed to us on our Twitch channel, there's a notification when we go live, and I get to write that little bit that you see when that goes out.
Those are amazing bits. Do you have a favorite bit off the top of your head that you're like, damn, that was a good bit I wrote?
Yes. Recently, I set one out for Martin's show going live, and I made it sound like a helpful hint. So I said, if Dost wishes to view entertainment, gather me yonder on the Twitch channel, and it's really fun to try to make those kind of match the vibe of each show. So that's a fun way I get to be creative.
I don't have a Twitch of my own, so I never get those.
Gotta get a Twitch.
Gotta get a Twitch.
Gotta get a Twitch.
Just
Gotta
gotta
follow
get a
Bryson if
Twitch.
you're not subscribed.
Yeah, officially breaking.
Cool.
You gotta get a
Breaking
Twitch.
news.
You gotta follow us, and you gotta follow Planet Scum.
In that order.
I will say, one time we got one of those, and Emily was like, "Hey, Forrest, you did a great job on writing that," and I was like, "I didn't. That was Jess. I didn't write that."
I think that was the latest one, right?
No, that was a lot. I mean, you've said it a few times.
It's happened multiple times. We're like, good job,
when
Forrest.
you notice they don't change, then you'll know Jess had a week and forgot to change the notification. But yeah, I did social media right before Forrest, so it's my one little bit of thing I get to do to write some copy for things that go out for people to see. So it's fun.
I'm glad you do it
Magnificent.
now too, because before Jess was doing it, it was one of those things that was just like, we're about to go live, and either I asked Bryson or Bryson asked me, like, did you change the notification? I didn't change it. Did you change it? And now I'll go on sometimes, like before I knew officially that you were, Jess, that you were doing this, in an official capacity, I would go on and just be like, okay, did anyone remember to change it? And it was always changed, like way far in advance. And I was just like, what? Is Bryson just really, really good at this now? He's like, really got shit together?
I will tell you,
Dumb thought on my part. Of course, I should have known it was you.
Bryson's really, really good at saying, hey, Jess, can you handle this thing that I keep forgetting to do?
Oh yeah. Oh, absolutely, absolutely. There's been about 2 or 3 times that Dave has asked me, like, where's the place on Twitch where we update the notification just so that I can know about it? And you've been doing a great job updating those, and every single time I have to be like, no, it's been Jess ever since we realized early on that I was
I haven't asked you that in a very long time. And I know where it is. I don't have to do it.
Well, yeah, Jess definitely. Jess had her role as production manager. It was something that was one of the early signs that we were like growing into something more, was being able to bring on Jess initially to do social media for us, and then we added Hex to the team around the same time, and then the next growth checkpoint in my brain was when we realized that we could bring on Forrest to do social and transition Jess's role more so into production managing, which really is a matter of like keeping all of our stuff up to snuff, keeping us, I think Thrill House said, the kitten herder of Planet Scum. That's
Right
sort of the deal. So Jess definitely keeps us all in line and makes sure that we've got everything that we need. So and she's been killing it.
Jess, the queen of Planet Scum.
Yeah.
Speaking of social media, hey Forrest,
Oh,
what's your role at Planet Scum?
I
Just a line or two about what you do.
I'm trying to fixing that. I do social media at Planet Scum, so I schedule tweets for the shows each week when they go up. I update the promos, the headshots on the promos. I sometimes fill in doing support or producing on a couple shows, which is fun. Wait.
That was when I ducked out of the screen to give you the screen because now it's you as the role.
Yeah.
And
I designed a good chunk of that initial line of merch at planetscum.live/merch, where you should get your own great shirts. These hoodies are so comfortable.
And you also
And I helped-
live tweet.
I helped do layouts on on a lot of the other ones too, in terms of making sure they're put in the right spot. And I live tweet a lot of the George Lucas talk show marathons, which I will clarify. I am also always told, Forrest, you don't have to live tweet that. And I
Every
go,
single time.
I don't, but I'm going to.
We're just not going to ask anybody to put themselves through upwards of 15 hours of show. But, I mean, if ever there was a show that was designed for Forrest, it's the George Lucas talk show,
Yep.
I feel like.
Oh, yeah.
So
Oh, my
yeah.
God, yes.
that's why I don't feel too bad about it. But, yeah, I mean,
should
most
not.
certainly every single time there is a conversation that happens that says, you by no means have to do this. Thanks for highlighting that Lizzie comment.
You're welcome. It was a very sweet comment.
I have to say, it's
But-
strange to be on here and not be able to pull up comments or
Yeah,
see other
weird.
people. And
Every single one of us has resisted the urge to like go into the brand or bring up a comment. My hands, I'm doing this out of nervousness.
I'm in the chat because I have to do
Just need something to do. Speaking of producing and chat and all those things, hey Hex,
Hey.
tell us about what you do for Planet Scum. Of course, you have a super long history as you were our man in the studio for
That's right.
CGP, and you would come on every post show, and I would just ask you a million questions about what you do. Tell us about what you do now and what's behind you.
Oh, this is said studio. Actually, that used to be
Said
my
studio.
station right there. No, when this dang quarantine hit, I was out of a job and kind of like, what do I do now? So I phoned up Bryson and Jersey Dave and was just like, you guys got something fun going on. How can I get in on that? So, probably about a month after this whole thing kicked off, I got brought on as a video editor just to sort of put together what would become the weekly recaps. So I kind of
Sure.
I used to keep a spreadsheet database of every moment that could potentially be used from every episode back when we had 3 shows. That spreadsheet's a little big now, so I like to keep a working knowledge of all of the clippable moments of every show that go on. So my week to week basically looks like either watching the shows in real time or watching them the day after at double speed to sort of drop some markers in and maybe put together a recap for the next week. I hate to call myself a producer because I feel like that's giving myself too much credit for what the rest of these guys do.
Stop that.
I like to
You
think
are
of
a producer.
myself as a technical
Yeah.
director.
You produce a show. You also technically direct things, which is incredible. Tell me about technically directing things and about your role. Essentially, you kept the Yule log going. Whenever there's a big, long show, Forrest's always like, Hex is on it. Oh, man, I'm so glad Hex fixed that thing. Oh, man. Hex totally fixed that thing before the problem even showed up to anyone else. He'll be telling me, he's like, oh, no. Oh, good. Hex has got it.
Yeah.
Hex, tell me about
you
these
guys don't
magical
know
things.
that butter log isn't on a automatic rotisserie. That's all hand cranked. Just keeping an eye on things, making sure that they don't fall apart. I guess. And if they do, try and make it as seamless as possible. That's really so what technical directing, I guess, involved is being on Googie Morning and Mary Houlihan's painting party, and basically just switching the different StreamYard layouts so that, we can spotlight someone here, or we can screen share over there, throwing comments up on screen, running the banners at the bottom of the screen. But that's basically it. Not too hard.
We also do backup for
Yeah.
Martin's show.
That's right.
You and Jess are the dream team there.
We really are a dream team, Hex. I actually recently
You are.
started backing you up on Googie Morning, so we're a Urbano and Googie dream team.
I know, that show's getting wild, and you guys should see what's coming up in the future.
Oh man, you do not want to miss what comes out of Riley's head. I don't know what's coming out of Riley's head. This is the big, behind the scenes moment for me. He's in meetings all the time, and I have no idea what's happening. And he just gets really excited before shows. And I'm like, or he'll get out of a Googie Morning meeting and be like, oh my God. I'm just like, fuck, Saturday's going to be. Every time I wake up on Saturday, I'm like, all right, I will go back to sleep. It's 8 a.m. We were up late. And every morning I stay up the whole time watching Googie Morning. I'm like, I can catch this up. But now perhaps the two individuals whose roles are so broad and yet so specific, is the most shrouded in mystery, I would say. I like how you're both looking at me like, what the fuck is she talking about? We got Dave and we got Bryson. Uncle B, tell us about what you do here at Planet Scum.
Initially it was getting this little ragtag team of Avengers together. Like Hex was saying, Dave and I were coming off of CGP, and CGP was not possible.
And you were social for them, correct?
Yeah, I was working social for CGP since last July 2019. And as some people might remember, as we had the Twitch channel for streaming the show, and we were trying some stuff to supplement CGP back in the day of Twitch Q&As, or we would do Discord AMAs with the performers, stuff like that. And so we were already dipping our toe into a lot of that. And then when quarantine hit, CGP wasn't possible, but we didn't, since we didn't know when anything would return, we wanted to still do things, and Dave and I both sort of worked together because it just took some convincing as to what that would look like. And so Dave
convincing
and I
who?
Well, just all of us,
Yeah. Each other. I guess Chris didn't care. Chris was just like, okay.
Chris was up for it, but it was one of those things especially the first the week after Reveries, everybody was sort of in a holding pattern. So, there was a little bit of a stuttering to get off the ground. And what we were getting off the ground was something that we figured would be like a once off. And then, maybe in, 4 weeks we'd be back in the studio. We just didn't know. So we called the first initial one CGP from home, I think. And
yeah, we might have had a couple of those.
Yeah, it was Christy and Carmen was the first one, then Helltrap Nightmare, which that itself was like a 3-hour show.
Yeah.
That was amazing.
And somewhere around the third or fourth episode, maybe, we started officially calling it Planet Scum Live because it felt very different. Yeah. And so I was still technically, Dave and I were both sort of just doing this stuff just to keep the momentum of CGP afloat, hoping that CGP would be back in business. And so then once we did the at-home shows, we started building up a little bit of momentum of people saw what we were doing, and it was like the George Lucas guys reached out to us. Robbie, off of being a guest on Chris's show, Robbie was interested in doing something. Riley, around the same time, reached out because everybody was starting to realize, we need to have some sort of outlets because we're going to all be hunkered down. So a lot of what I do nowadays for Planet Scum, it's been all sorts of stuff, but for the most part, it's keeping the infrastructure of what we do around. So what we were talking about, Jess keeps us all on track. I upkeep the the database of stuff that we're doing, so that Jess has a playground to work in to keep us on track. So we have a database of all of our shows, and Jess keeps a great job, or does a great job of keeping all of that up to date with all the information that everybody needs to know to pull off the shows. So upkeeping that infrastructure, managing things like promo templates and stuff with Forrest. I still dabble in that just because I love the design element and helping out our performers. And things like the website. The website was something that I put together early on. It's something that I always loved tinkering with. But yeah, it's like infrastructure stuff is what I do in addition to running the StreamYard stuff for shows like Planet Scum Live, Robbie's show, George Lucas Talk Show, and then I back up Hex for Mary's show. George Lucas has Dave and I on it in the sense that we have people on all of our shows, but Patrick runs the StreamYard for the most part. So the reason that I'm the bumper boy of George Lucas Talk Show is just because they don't really need us. And so I was just like, well, it'd be really funny if we had a bumper for this. So that's really where that came out of.
Oh my gosh.
Tig is saying Bobby Moynihan was the first official Planet. Oh, Bobby and Lennon.
Yeah.
Parnham. Okay.
Yeah. That was the first one, and I saw that when I was doing some research to figure that out.
And a lot of it too was based off of CGP was a thing, and then when we made the Discord back in 2019, we called it Planet Scum just because of the TCGS connection there. And then by the time we were doing quarantine shows, the thought was after a while we didn't want to call it CGP at home because it didn't feel like that, and because we were doing Gethard's Wednesday show as our first and only thing for a while, it was like, well, this show is like bringing the Discord community around CGP more in, it was far more heavy on call-ins than CGP had been. So that's why we transitioned to calling it Planet Scum Live, is the idea that it's the community being more so an integral part of the show. So then that's when we pivoted to calling it all Planet Scum.
Yeah, because for a while everything shut down, and the only thing that was still like active in really like any of the projects I was involved with was the Discord to like the CGP show. Like that Discord was still going strong, and we were just like, I don't know what we're gonna do if the show's ever coming back. So because of that Discord and that community, that's why Planet Scum exists now. Because we're just like, we can't just like, we have to do something. We have to make something for all these, people that are all these people that are like, supporting us so much. We should be doing some shows. We can do some digital shows, and we started looking into it and figuring it all out. But yeah, we needed to make that pivot, calling it something different, and we called it Planet Scum because the Discord was at one point the thing that was kind of orbiting around CGP, and now all of a sudden our shows were the ones orbiting around the Discord.
It's a really okay. So Dave, I have many questions for you. Jersey Dave, of course, we all knew your name from the TCGS days.
Knew my name.
We all knew your name. We all knew about Jersey Dave the producer. Jersey Dave, what do you do for CGP? Tell us the story of CGP. Sort of like my next question was going to be like, all right, now everyone, story time. Tell us how CGP and Planet Scum. But please tell us what you do, what your role is, what excited you about jumping into this, and yeah, what was in your mind when you were thinking of creating these shows? How do you put together shows?
So for Planet Scum, what do I do? Not much. These guys are the ones that handle all of it. It was already a world that I am not super comfortable in. I'm definitely like, I love producing live comedy, in a studio, especially at M&N, because that was just a studio that was falling apart, and I knew all of the things that were falling apart. I knew all of the pieces of duct tape that was holding that thing together. And because a lot of those pieces of duct tape I had put there, 6 years earlier. So for CGP, I was running that show. And that was a ton of work. So that, I don't know, for people who don't know, it was, we had the M&N Public Access Studio. Every week we had a new host that would host a show. And we basically said, you have all the resources of this Public Access Studio and this crew that knows how to do, anything that this studio can do. What do you want your show to be? And then in a week we would make that show. And it was incredibly ambitious. It was the only thing I was doing at the time for most of the run because I couldn't handle anything else. Except for a brief stint with Marvel. That was way too much stuff. So Bryson was running the social media for that show, but then also it was like very obvious. I've known Bryson for a little while, and it was very obvious that just him running social media was a waste of talent. It was just, there's so much other things that he could do. So then he kind of, I guess, maybe digital producer. I don't know if we ever changed the title, but
we did.
Yeah. And so
I remember you specifically saying nobody's getting shit out of this. You might as well get this.
Yeah, you're just like, is it okay if maybe like you don't call me social media manager? Kind of not really that. And I was like, anything you want. What is the title you want? 'Cause you shall have it. Yeah. You're not getting paid, or you're getting paid what? It was $50 a week or something like that. Like you're getting nothing out of this except for credit. And like you get to make some things that you like. Hopefully you like. Yeah. So yeah.
Big reveal. Bryson's hated the whole time.
So yeah. So for CGP, this answer would be a much longer answer. It would be something like like Jess's answer, which was like, I do this, and I do this, and these are all very separate things, but I do them all. That was CGP for me. For Planet Scum. This is not my world. I am just I'm the vestigial organ of Planet Scum. I am the male nipple of Planet Scum. And it's like,
no.
I'm here, and I'm not hurting anyone.
Male nipples they're great. I don't know, they do stuff.
There's your pull quote from the show.
Hex, could you put that in the recap, please?
I, mostly will run comments. And I do that for Planet Scum Live and George Lucas Talk Show. I guess that's it. And then for Martin's show, I just basically check in afterwards and just kind of help brainstorm fun things that we can do. So that's the actual only real work I do. I've managed, because I have twins, and that is the my number one thing to focus on.
Far more than a full-time job.
Yeah, and now my wife is back at work, so it's a lot. I managed to make sure that I at no point am like the person anyone is counting on in this project. Like if I don't get back to you, like the email or text or whatever, like things are going to be fine, because I made sure not to be integral to anything.
Well, and two, off of describing like all the work that Dave put into CGP, one of the things in pivoting to quarantine is that we were already looking to potentially pivot what CGP was a little bit. Just because we were coming up to the time of like, Dave was expecting twins, and we knew that week to week, Dave was breaking his back to pull off CGPs, and it all resulted in excellent shows. But we knew that we couldn't sustain that long term, and so we were starting to think of different ideas.
You knew. I don't think Dave knew.
Knew what?
that it wouldn't be sustainable. I do
I could've
feel
done
like
it.
you were like, I'm gonna.
Yeah, Dave,
Fine.
every single phone call was Dave being like, "No, I can do 5
You can do it.
enchanted pumices a month. That's
Not enchanted pumice. Can't do any more
anyone
of those
except
a
for
month.
pumice."
The first one. The first
yeah,
one was a lot. The second one, I can do that. Sure, I can do that once a week.
But we were already looking. I think the aspect of everybody having to pivot to online stuff sort of forced the hand that we were already sort of working with.
Yeah, we were paring down CGP in some ways, or at least talking about it. We were also like bringing in new producers. That's like actually one of the things I was kind of most bummed about. Like I obviously miss CGP a ton. It was extremely fun to work on, and the crew we had are just fantastic people that were capable of much more than we asked of them, and we started to kind of bring people in to produce actual shows where I could just kind of be like looking over their shoulder and be like, yep, great, but not actually doing all the stuff because I would have had twins at that point. And I'm bummed because we never really got to do that, because I think a lot of the people that were working on CGP were capable of taking more responsibility on, and that's how the show would have kept going. And then also maybe limiting some of the giant, like we were putting on a play every week, limiting some of that. But
and we've talked about before is that you look at CGP and it maybe started as like more like talk show format stuff, but towards the end everybody was putting on essentially hour-long one-act plays, and it was getting a lot. But God damn, it holds a special place in my heart, that there CGP.
Because we never said no. So then someone else was like, well, Mary Houlihan had set pieces and had 4 different rooms. That's what I want. I was like, Annie Donnelly, you can't have that. I'm so sorry.
Annie Donnelly out of anybody to say no to?
Oh my God! Annie Donnelly needs to be reined in.
Oh boy!
If you can't say no to her,
are insane. So she wanted a giant globe, a giant gold globe like Joel Osteen behind her for the entire episode, and she's like, "You can make that, right?" And I was like, "I mean, maybe." And eventually, I just feel like, Annie, can't do this, and she's like, you turned the studio into 4 different rooms for Mary Houlihan, you can't even make me a fucking globe. That was a lot. It just snowballed and became more and more and more. The more you said yes to someone else, then everyone else would be like, well, they got it, so I want that and this other thing.
But once we started doing online shows, I think I've said this in maybe last time I was on Weird Trash People or something, but our whole thing was book people on the one show we were doing with Gethard on Wednesdays and sort of show them what it was like to do shows. And I should say, I tweeted this out the other day. We were doing shows initially off of like my computer running OBS and like doing everything DIY. It wasn't until the George Lucas Talk Show guys reached out to us after we had done a couple of the Wednesday Planet Scum Lives, and George Lucas Talk Show reached out to us saying, hey, we want to do 30 hours on May the 4th. Can we do it? And Dave and I just agreed. I knew that my computer wouldn't be able to stream for 30 hours without crashing a bunch.
And I knew that you'd figure it out.
I don't know if she's in the chat at all. I saw her name pop up in a notification a while back. It might have been Twitter, but Allie O'Rourke, member of our community, who is doing hysteria comedy out of Dublin, so she was doing these shows, and I was curious what she was using to do them, because you could bring up comments on the screen, and it was stuff I had never seen before. And so I reached out to Allie and asked what she was using to do her shows. She showed us StreamYard and actually spent some time with me one night, just showing me what was under the hood with StreamYard and everything. And so then it was like, okay, great, we'll use this to run the George Lucas Talk Shows thing. I remember showing Dave StreamYard and being like, we'll use this. And Dave was like, can it stream for 30 hours straight? I was like, I don't know. I'll tweet at the company. I tweeted at the company. They said yes.
They're a great company for that.
Yeah. And then Dave was like, well, what if your computer crashes? And I was like, I don't know. Like, we had no idea going into May the 4th if my computer crashed, what that would mean. And it was only until we did it that we realized that it was entirely cloud-based, and you don't have, like, if I go down, Dave's still on, the guests are still on and everything. So by being forced in the corner to figure out how to do May the 4th is how we got StreamYard, which ended up being the thing that runs all Planet Scum shows. So from that point forward, that's where we started having people on Gethard's Wednesday show to show them what this was like. And that's where we get like a show with Robbie Hoffman, is because we had Robbie come on Gethard's show, and then Robbie was like, okay, I can see something with this. So a lot of those early shows were us bringing on people that we, the Gethard was booking all of them. So certainly people that we know and love, but also there was a little bit of an intention of like showing people like, this is what we can do.
Right. Because tool. I think people had been seeing these like Zoom shows that people were trying to put on, and they were very hesitant. Like the further we got into quarantine, the more people seemed kind of hesitant of like, doing comedy via a webcam, because more people were trying to do Zoom shows, and some of them worked, and I think probably most of them didn't. It's just kind of it's a tough sell. So we actually had to like have them on, do a show, see the comments coming up, and show them that like there's a lot of fun to be had here. We just you have to kind of see it to believe it, though. I think
a lot of what we were doing initially too was at the time early quarantine, if you logged onto Instagram at the time and if you were following comedians, everybody was going live on Instagram initially, because everybody was
at the
bored,
same time.
Yeah. So your entire feed would be people being live on Instagram, and a lot of people had trouble with that because it wouldn't archive right. Audio would get desynced. When you go into it, I know every time I try to check out somebody's live, things fuck up a whole bunch. And so one of the things that that we were sort of tasked with doing a little bit was everybody performer wise within our CGP community, they're far more comfortable usually with live performance at a theater or a performance space of some sort. And so a lot of it was sort of showing people what the possibilities were with doing stuff online. They've been public about it, which is why I don't worry about sharing this, is that the George Lucas guys have publicly said Connor was not interested in doing online shows at all, period.
It was heartbreaking.
Yeah.
And so Connor is somebody that, that's an early sort of, that they were trying to convince him to do online shows in general. That's just completely separate of us. They just ended up coming to us. So then doing the May the 4th thing, they had enough fun and, really, not to be a broken record about StreamYard, but that made it easy enough to where nobody had to worry about tech stuff between us handling it and StreamYard making it easy. And Connor could just worry about playing. So I think one of the biggest successes for me of what we've done is making sure that people like that who wouldn't necessarily have performed in a digital, sense, that we were able to make that happen.
Yeah. And I think that they kind of mastered the form. Honestly, every time Griffin gets up there for the first, however many shows, he's like, all right, when you like something, this is what you type. Type for me. Type for me. And I'm like, is he psychically just seeing into all of these people's minds? And I think so. What I would love to know, speaking of these shows, let's let's talk about what's a day in the life of a Planet Scum show. If I was wondering if it'd be possible to just sort of walk us through, let's say, a Who Wants 269 from, conception. So it's Tuesday. One has just happened. Tell us about the day in the life of producing the Planet Scum show.
Well,
Sounds like
especially
a
for
week.
Who Wants 269, we start collecting the cease and desist letters on Tuesdays.
Yes.
That's when those start to really roll in. Usually right after the show is when the next one starts getting brainstormed and workshopped, and we talk about possible guests that Martin has in mind, any tech needs he might need for the following week. I think that's typical, at least of the shows that I'm behind the scenes on, and you guys tell me if it's different, but after the show there's usually a debrief period where we talk about what went well and what might need to change, and then what are we looking at for the following week, so that we can already have our eye out for things that we need to catch or work on for tech, or maybe we need an extra meeting during the week to work on some audio issue or something that's come up during the show. So it starts immediately after the show for most of them.
And how about day of?
For 269, so we're just doing 269.
Yeah.
All right.
I want to hear 269, and then I want to hear, I'm trying to think what are the two shows that are going to give the fullest picture of what it's like to produce shows on StreamYard within the Planet Scum sort of system that y'all have created, the hierarchies of producers.
Justin Linville's in the chat. Sorry.
BP Town?
Apparently, yeah.
Old BP Town Justin Linville's in the chat.
Fuck yes!
Oh, now
BB
that's
Town.
interesting. Oh,
We missed
know,
that's
right?
interesting.
we
That was a
do.
great
We
show.
miss Justin and Maya. I think 269 is a really fun one to talk about because it's so specific in the rhythm and timing, and that's been something that I, as the producer, have I'm pushing those buttons. So the rhythm and the timing of when you see things come on screen and when things change around and bringing on and off the guests, that's all things that I'm doing in the moment. But really the day of is hopefully me sitting back and letting the thing happen that I've planned for all week. So I don't like to have a lot of work that day. So we have deadlines of, when the guests are known to us, when promos are created, those are all happening and meetings are happening throughout the week, so that when the day of comes, I'm getting in a mental space of, I know what I have to do, I have to execute this, and I'm just double checking that all the things are there. So on the day of, I'll go into our StreamYard and open up the little brand folder for 269, and I'll say, okay, do I have the right names that are going to pop up for social media information on the screen when the Showbiz Friend is up? Do we have the right colored background that Martin wanted for this show? Because recently we've had a red background for the Bloodbath, or the clouds for the Record Riggers or Record Destroyers episode. So I'm checking all those things, making sure that we have the correct little banners that are going to come up at the bottom. Sometimes he gives away 269. Sometimes it's 69 cents for this or this. So I have to have all of that added up and be prepared for what if it goes really long. So I kind of go through all the scenarios that are realistic in my mind and set all that up prior to, and make sure that on the day of that I have everything I need there. And then we usually ask everyone to show up at least half an hour early to the show, and we all congregate in the backstage area and make sure everyone knows what's going on and what to expect. And I'm usually, as the producer, letting everyone know that these are the buttons you can press. You're not going to see comments on this show because we turn them off for you, because we don't want people to cheat. We learned that after the first episode were real long and real expensive for Martin. That we don't want comments to be able to be seen unless I'm bringing them, or now actually Hex will be bringing them moving forward up on the screen for us. So we get to chat a little bit and check Martin's audio levels and make sure he's feeling good, and checking in with Adam because we have an outside producer on 269, which that's a little bit different than our other shows. So Adam helps content create things with Martin, and so we all get on the same page, and then we do the thing.
Yeah, I'll
And
say
usually by Monday morning is
Go ahead.
Well, usually by Monday morning is when I've finished formatting the PDF that has all of the passwords to my dark streaming service account, so that Martin can go over them and watch his shows by the time it goes live.
That's an important part of producing that show, is to cover tracks.
He binges the dark web all the way up until showtime.
Scrub the hard drives.
Every Sunday night, I pamphleteer all the great things he's done.
This
And then there's
might
the stuff
be,
that Bryson and I do, which we really shouldn't talk about.
We
but
really,
we know
really
what it
can't.
is.
Can't.
yeah. It's so much fun to work on Martin's show, because we've done almost 30 of them, 20 something, almost 30 of them. I don't know what's an act. Martin's the same all the time. So I don't know, like later in a few years down the line, something might happen because I've been
When it all
working on this
comes
show.
out, we'll
I
all
don't know.
say,
The warning signs were there.
the warning signs were there.
I think he was trying to tell us that.
I think he was trying to tell us by explicitly telling us.
It's Louis all over again.
I was going to say that, old Beepy Town is in the chat, Justin Linville. Justin's show, Justin and Maya's show, now that's interesting, similar to Judge Millie in that because they're more, not scripted, because both are sort of very loosely scripted, but they have sort of beats that they need to hit. Those two shows are examples of shows that we get outlines for in advance, usually well in advance, depending. So like Jess was running Now That's Interesting, and would get the outline from Justin and Maya to know, okay, what do we need for graphics or anything like that. So Justin and Maya were always very detailed and very early with their stuff, and would also send us, here's a Maya's Universe thing, but also a little song that we wrote, and also Justin and Maya would throw a bunch of stuff at us, and it was really great. But yeah, those are shows where we need to have more information ahead of time, whereas like Robbie's show or Planet Scum Live being call-in shows, it's more so that we check in early in the week to say, okay, what are we doing this week? Because it's usually Planet Scum Live's a little different now, because we usually get an early in the week email from the Scum Guru that says what we're going to do. But yeah, for the most part, it's usually like I will send Robbie an email on Sundays or Mondays being like, what do you want on your promos this week? And she'll just be like, sweatshirt advice or whatever.
And then I'll go add sweatshirt advice.
Yeah, and that's, I mean, not so much planning for, like Robbie's show, especially because it's just, okay, what's our topic? And, what do we need for that? Robbie loves not prepping anything so that she can demand something on air of me. That's her preference.
Though sometimes it is like for the fashion show, it's, hey, I want to book people who have the shirt or meet some criteria, and then we'll do outreach to people.
Yeah.
And see who's available.
Those are sort of special shows for Robbie where we usually know like a week or two out that she wants to do something. So yeah, we'll reach out to everybody that has the hoodie or book. We had Sarah Weiss. That one was sort of plug and play off of the week before being the auction. And then George Lucas Talk Show is just sort of runs itself, and Dave and I show up, and then every single week, right before they go live, they always say, what are we going to talk about this week? Every single week they'll say that, and then they'll go 3.5 hours.
At a minimum.
But yeah, every single week, their guests usually never show up until about 2 minutes before showtime.
That's always stressful. I get why they do it. Patrick doesn't want to ask people to come and sit there, and then they do their intro, and there's the long crawl, and then they talk for a little bit, and they just want to ask them to come too far in advance. But it is constantly like 2 minutes to show, and we're just like,
Connor's always on his phone, and he's like, are our guests going to show up?
Yeah.
What are we going to talk about this week? And then they go on.
Tell me about Judge Millie, because that show. So some of the joy of watching Planet Scum, is watching these shows develop. You know, like when Martin started 269, it was great. All the jokes were there. And then as it moved on, he got the sound cues and he got the cards and the binders and the briefcases. And it's like, this is insane. My mind is blown. And we've seen that with basically all of the shows, except Robbie's show right out the gate, because she's Robbie. Judge Millie, we have got to see develop over the months, and they also have their own producer, Katie. What's her last name?
Sicking. Sick.
Sick?
Sicking.
Sicking.
Sicking. Katie Sicking, who's amazing, who, if you saw the last one, which all of you should, she's in the background in a Santa suit, producing. Tell me about working with Judge Millie, about having this like awesome sort of like once a month show time slot. What's that like behind the scenes?
I love it. I think across the board with any of our shows, I don't think at any point we've ever told anybody like what to do with their show. I mean, that's sort of our whole thing, is that the shows that people are doing are shows that they fully wanted to do, and we've helped them make them a reality. So the reason I bring that up for Millie's is that I really love the fact of the aspect of our shows all having their own sort of unique vibes. I love having a monthly show that is like a character-based show, because we don't have that really anywhere else, unless Riley's specifically doing a character-based hosting job. But I've loved that aspect of, I think, Martin's show and Millie's show, in addition to George Lucas, obviously, are the shows that do the most as far as booking wise, and having, you know, every show is going to have a featured booked spot of somebody, and Millie's is just fantastic because it's people doing character work, and on top of that, Millie just taking some big chances on what she wanted her show to be, and also like doing hard joke monologues, you know, like that's all stuff that, you know, I don't think anybody would have identified as being something that, you know, we needed to search for, but I'm so incredibly glad that we have it in our fold. And the fact that it's monthly is mainly because their hopes for the show are so ambitious that I fear that if we did it weekly, I know that it would kill me. But, you know, they more so to their own both credit, and they would probably admit this themselves, is that they put a lot of effort into each and every one of those shows, because there's a lot more prepped for a Judge Millie than there is for, you know, I'm not knocking anybody's show, but, you know, if we do a call-in show, like I said, we're usually checking in. What are we talking about? Okay, well, let's execute on it. So, yeah, it's been really fun. I ask for outlines really a lot more in advance with them, just because since we're not in a weekly conversation, it's good to have their outline early so that I can identify what stuff we might need to do. And they've been incredibly great to work with. My favorite thing that we get to see behind the scenes is, like, Millie, the like comedy teacher, sort of prepping everybody before they go to start the show. That's been my favorite thing, is to see Millie really working in the sense of making sure that everybody knows, you know, where to introduce their game and all that jazz. So that's been incredibly fun. She's an incredible performer and collaborator. So that's been really, really fun.
Yeah, Stephen Primel's comment right now. I love when we have shows that are like Martin, Mary, Millie, George Lucas. When we have booked guests, it brings in this whole other element of energy to our shows. And Millie's show specifically is one I'm always excited to know who's going to be on next. I'm always thrilled to watch them work. And it's like an honor to be able to watch them interact in that pre-show meeting and work things out, because Millie is so great and such a like great teacher, and she just understands the way things are going to need to go, and watching that interaction, it's it's one of those ones. I work backup for Bryson on that one, and I love working backup on that and not having to do the Bryson role, because I get to sit back a little bit more and like have fun and watch it and just click the comments that I want to see Millie interact with, and like that's so fun. So I love that booked guest aspect of some of the shows, that we get to see new faces all the time interact and be on our platform. So
that's so beautiful. I would love to know from all of you. Let's go round. I want to know your wish list. What's your show wish list? Whether it's a specific guest you want to see on one of the shows, whether it's a like, damn, I really want to see Martin do XYZ for a whole show, but like, you know, perhaps it's impossible at this moment. I really want for there to be an outside. What are your wish lists? What do you want? What are your dreams? I'm sorry, whom?
Rosie on George Lucas Talk Show.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Which after January 20th, I think is far more likely.
Why?
Trump will be gone.
Yeah. Pierce Brosnan on Mary's show.
Yeah.
Oh.
Dave is
not looped in on that one.
And Mary actually made an incredible amount of got an incredible head start on the possibility of that within her first week or two of doing it. But the other thing, we were just messaging about it a little bit earlier. A hope and dream of mine is on an irregular basis what Jersey Dave has dubbed Friday Night Specials.
Ooh.
But yeah, that's my list.
Well, what's a Friday Night Special? You can't just say the words Friday Night Special.
So it's special?
And
it's on Friday night.
They're specials.
Yep. Kind of
They're on Fridays at night.
Yeah.
Like when we had the charity, the Night of Communication. Just like a one-off thing, like that is also, to piggyback on what Bryson's saying, like that's in my mind the next really fun thing. I think maybe once the twins become a little bit less of a handful, maybe I can start reaching out to people and getting more of those, you know, because like that's the really fun thing. Like we've developed this kind of safe space for comedy where, you know, you can actually go and do a show on Planet Scum and it'll be good. You know, a lot of people that, like I was saying earlier, might be a little hesitant to do an online show, have seen what we're doing and see how it works and that it does work. So bringing more of those people in, like, you know, bringing in like the guys from Reveries, bringing in, I don't know, Carmen again. You know, just like people that are in our orbit that aren't on regularly. Just, you know, what is Joe Rumrell up to? I see Joe Rumrell. What
is he up to?
Well,
what is he up to?
He posted a holiday zine.
Yeah.
It was awesome.
Yeah.
I'll say we did offer a special to Carmen for a while back. We offered him a Saturday night, and he said, "Fuck you, I've got a social life."
Yeah, in the middle of the pandemic. This was like April. Where the fuck were you going? I said Carmen. I didn't actually mean Carmen. Not actually Carmen.
I love Carmen.
I of course love Carmen.
Yeah.
Just saying there are. You know, what does Annie Donnelly? What would she do? What did Annie Donnelly do with the, you know, an hour or whatever? Like just kind of, I guess that's a little bit more of the CGP model, but could be fun.
Yeah.
But
Could
I can't really like
fun.
wish for that because then I'd have to do it and I can't.
Well, we have versions of that we can pull off.
Yeah.
I don't mean to produce your show, but I know that we only got a little bit of time, right? Because pre-show's happening.
Yeah.
Pre-show's
happening after this over on the Discord.
I'm saying that more so that I remind myself not to go off on a tangent.
Pre-show is about to
think
start
that Friday
on the
Night
Discord.
Special is what I'm wishing. I think that sounds amazing.
Yeah.
I didn't know what I was wishing for, but that sounds incredible. I love that CGP-ish model.
quickly, I'd love to hear, Hex and Jess, what are your wishes? And then we will together wish ourselves into the pre-show.
Well, my wish, Hex, do you want to go? You've been so talkative this whole time. I was wondering if it would be okay if, like, you good?
Jessica.
Go ahead.
I hate when he full names me. No, my wish actually, the pre-show thing, after show, all of that kind of plays into my wish is that I love seeing the fan art. I love seeing people who have met up in our community who now have Discords of their own, who like have comedy planning things, and they do their shows on Twitch now too, and they wouldn't have known each other had they not been in our community together. Tig. And everything Tig's doing is amazing. I want to see more of that. I want to see the offshoots of what this is, and the way that what we're doing can influence other people, but then we get to see what they're doing, and then influences us, and this really great like back and forth give and take between, and like blurring lines of fan and producer and performer and host and all of that. I just like I want one big mushy like comedy oatmeal. I don't know. I'm gonna go with it. Oatmeal of love.
Oatmeal.
Yeah.
A love oatmeal of comedy.
Oh, Hex should have gone.
That was a beautiful, Jess. I mean, that's a gorgeous sentiment.
I mean,
and a beautiful way to put it.
RIP to the Planet Scum open mic, but people were mentioning that in the chat before. Like, that was such a great time and space, and for everyone to come together. And I think it helped a lot of the people we're seeing now come on our shows, see like what our community is about, and have that interaction with everyone. And every single person who comes on our shows, if we get a thank you email back or a comment at the end of the show says, wow, your community is great, this platform is great, they're surprised by how lovely it is, and they only want to come back. And so that's just upping that. Like, that's my wish, is to just lean into that more.
Thank you, Horde Jedi.
Thank you. I agree with Horde Jedi. I'm not on this team. I can't thank you for like I feed him. Does that count? That's a gorgeous sentiment, and I love that. Hex. Oh, first, I wanted to mention anyone who loves the Planet Scum open mic. I know that when I was like, damn, I want to try an open mic, I just shot a little message to our dear Jessie over here. Jessity Jess.
Jessie.
And she talked me through like her whole system of producing and everything. So anyone interested, I'm pretty sure if you shoot Jess a little DM. Not to volunteer you to help out, just to share
also,
knowledge.
I'm just going to say Emily would be very happy to share knowledge.
I would also be happy to share knowledge.
So DM Emily.
Yeah.
For what we learned.
DM Emily. I'm also around. I'm around.
But
Hex, what are your wishes?
The moment we've all been waiting for.
I am all about, and Dave will attest to this, finding cheap solutions to make things look better, like making things look expensive with not a lot of money. You can ask him how many times I wanted a damn soundboard on CGP.
Oh my god.
But one of the things that I've been trying to explore is getting more tech, more things on the tech side of things behind the scenes. I know that Mary's painting party was probably our first regular multi-camera show. And there's associated snafus that come along with that, but for the most part it's worked out really well, and I think that's something I'd love to see more of on other shows. I spend way too much time and energy making my stream look good, and for the amount of time that I actually appear on screen talking, the screen and lights and everything like that, what do I need that for?
I love it. Whenever we get,
I love it.
You're always at M&N, and that makes me feel so good. So
I know. Oh, let me move into the big studio.
Yes.
Yeah.
Better light in there.
So
Oh yeah.
yeah,
Much better.
more here. No, I just want to serve kind of as a proof of concept, maybe, to some of the other hosts and say, hey, buy these like cheap $1 light bulbs and maybe a $1.25 green tablecloth from Party City, and you could probably make your show look.
Hex,
Pretty
I
good.
got webcams I need to be sending to some of
Bryson,
our hosts.
send those webcams out.
I know. I got some. Anyway, yeah, Hex has also pitched some of the most ambitious ideas for some of our shows that I'm incredibly excited to see if we can pull them off. So
One
that's the
day,
kind of stuff
hopefully.
that we enjoy shooting around back and forth.
And I guess the last thing I want to see a comedy cooking show on Planet Scum.
Ooh, comedy cooking.
Off of the
Take
two
this
recent
comedy cooking.
performances, Spo.
Spo!
I tried to
Yeah.
see
Oh
me
my
get my
God.
Instagram stories. I was like, can I drop a hint here? Because that would be.
Oh, that's right. You
amazing.
did say that. Yeah.
The Spo cooking show.
Yeah.
It rhymes, therefore it is true. This is, of course, a thing in nature.
Well,
If it rhymes,
I'm
it's true.
wondering If we
And if
had
it's true,
enough,
it's beautiful.
if we had enough fan art for it already
boy.
up top, would it convince anyone?
Spo.
I'm just saying, we heard about these two guys, or this group of filmmakers on YouTube who made a trailer for an Eli Roth horror movie, and Eli Roth saw it and then hired them to make that movie.
It's Waverly Films who
Waverly
now made the two latest Spider-Man movies.
So I'm just saying, dream big. If you want to see cool art, fucking talk about it. Make things for it. Dear producers, I have one final question for all of you. Before we pop over to the pre-show, I would love to know, what do you got to say? What is there anything that you want to say to the community? Any dreams you want to put out into the world, or things you want to say to the 30 people watching, to Justin Linville in the chat? Justin, where are your shows? Plug them. I want to watch them.
I'll say thank you to everybody that checks out our shows and supports our team, but the artists that put on the shows, and for the people who have been completely so generous to donate to our charity shows and everything like that. This has become something that none of us would have expected, and it has become an opportunity for ourselves and our performers that was desperately needed this past year, and it is entirely because of the community that watches the shows, supports them, all that jazz. I know I said it on your guys' show the other week when we talked about merch, is, you know, I'm somebody, Hex shared his story earlier of, like, I was furloughed from a 9-year, full-time gig, and that sucks, but this has been an incredibly beautiful outlet that has organically come up over the course of the past year, and it's due in part to the hard work of the people putting on the shows, both production and performers, but also the people who have really latched onto the shows, and I thank everybody greatly for that. The other thing that I want to say to the community, just because I see that we have some of our fan artists here and we're all big fans of fan art, one of the things that I've been wanting to see is fan art of what Planet Scum the physical space is. You know, whether it's a planet or if it is just like a little, one space wide space in like a strip mall, if it's the comedy venue Planet Scum that's in like a ratty alley, or if it's a planet, or if it's a whole city that's a planet, or a whole planet that's a city, or whatever. That's the fan art I want to see.
Yeah, I think
Yes.
just to piggyback off of the thank you that Bryson was talking about, like we exist because of the audience, the viewers. Like I was saying before, we didn't know what we were doing for a while. We didn't know if we were going to make anything. CGP had to end, and the only reason we decided we need to do something, we need to put on some sort of show, like partially for us to just like, because we have this itch that we need to scratch, but it was really born out of this Discord and this community, because it was so clear that this was the community was not going anywhere. Even if CGP wasn't around, the community was its own thing, and it wound up being clearly stronger than CGP, and it's probably stronger than Planet Scum right now. Like, the community is the stilts that we are all built on top of, and without the people that like tuning in and like to give back in various different ways, like monetarily, sure, but also creatively. There's just so much that we get from the viewers. All of that is extremely generous, and in fact, the reason why we are here making this stuff. So, just another heartfelt thank you from me.
I think watching the vocabulary of participation in the chats grow and change has been fascinating to me from I want to sociology this point of view, but like the language that everyone has sort of brought together to show the artists that they're here and present and loving it in a way you can't do in a theater. You can't make a quip in a theater. Like, that's hella rude. Right. But make a quip here and you're supporting the show.
And I know Connor has mentioned online how much he really appreciates the chat on George Lucas Talk Show, which again speaks to he was hesitant to do any of that because he assumed that online chat would be the worst thing that you could imagine.
Yeah, the internet is a disgusting, filthy place. So we have a nice little shiny corner of it, and it's because we have nice people that like the things that we make, and we like them back. And that's one of those things that, whenever we have someone on, the guests that we were talking about.
So I'm just imagining, someone, sketching in the back and then, sending paper airplanes to the stage.
You would want that person institutionalized.
I picture it
I really like you.
Like those money guns where they're just a bunch of fire shoot out.
Stephen Primer photo cards coming out.
But there are more watched shows that don't have nearly as much supportive engagement as this community does. So that's the part that we are extremely grateful for.
Consistently get feedback on from guests. Consistently, just why are these people that watch these shows so nice and so funny and so talented themselves? It's you can't say it enough. It's the best.
I think that just segues right into what my message would be, I guess, is keep doing your thing. If there's a thing that you're so excited about that it keeps you up in a good way at night that you would lose sleep for days working on, that's what Planet Scum is for all of us here on the screen. We would lose sleep. We do lose sleep every week to do this, and we wake up after 5 minutes of sleep happy to do it again. I mean, you see the George Lucas Talk Show stream go forever, and Dave has twins, and he shows up and he's there, and Bryson's there, and Hex every week with the recaps and putting everything together and watching all the shows, and
those recaps are incredible.
They are.
Ready for them to look even cooler in 2021.
And I know that even some of the hosts have talked about reaching out to some fan artists to do things for them in personal shows that they're doing outside of Planet Scum. So if there are things that you are doing that you're really passionate about, just keep doing those things, because that's how we're all here sitting here talking to you. That's how CGP kept going. That's how Planet Scum started and has kept going. So hundo speech it is what I'm.
Yeah. I want to second all the thank yous and the hundo speech, because that is, I mean, that's definitely why I'm here.
Just play.
Yeah.
Play is so important. We watched a science documentary last night about a dog and a bunch of polar bears who play together, and how play signals in animals are so strong because the animals that need to adapt to a bunch of different circumstances need to play. If we're not playing, we're not fulfilling our life drive, which is why the turning of like every single hobby into monetization is sucking the soul of humanity.
Of course, full
Also,
freedom.
did you know that there used to be a lake in the middle of the Sahara?
There was.
Such a pineapple.
Yeah, that was so fine.
I've just
We
been
got
thinking
pineapple.
about this a
Freaking
lot
pineapple.
all night, okay?
You know what?
The importance of play spaces and how
Yeah.
important they are to everyone.
Yeah.
Hex, do you have anything that you want to say to these dear people before we send everyone over to the Discord for another incredible play space? The pre-show.
The pre-show.
Yes,
the
Horde
Vice
Jedi.
famous pre-show.
I've got to say thank you, first of all, to everybody who stuck with this show from the beginning, who stumbled on it on Twitch and said, "What the hell is this?" and stuck around just long enough for it. I've left more jobs than, well, I can't count them, but I've left quite a number of jobs where I didn't have the support or the kindness of the people behind me or the people who were consuming whatever good or service I was selling. And all of you, make it a pleasure to do what I do on a weekly basis. So thank you very much. Write down your ideas before you forget them.
Yes.
Tell people things while you still have the chance, and stay hydrated.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Multivitamins
Hex is
are
gonna make
okay.
me
Oh my
cry.
God.
What a beautiful
That's Hex. Once again, your perfect timing and knowledge of shows. You just closed it perfectly.
Yeah.
You just put a beautiful exclamation point on this show. Dear friends, thank you to all of you dear producers for taking
Yeah,
the
thank you
time
so
on
much.
your week off to talk about your work. Thank you so much to the chat for joining us, for your questions, for your support. And everyone head over to the Planet Scum Discord for the pre-show, an incredible spot to play, to meet people, to have fun. If you're not already on the Discord, hop on in. People are nice there.
People are nice there.
And I know we went over, but the great news is that there's no show today, so the pre-show can literally just go on.
Oh, yeah.
And I'll be over there. I just gotta check in with the family before I head over.
But yeah,
But yeah,
with that,
thank you all so much, my dears. Good night,
good night and
good
good climb.